The Champions League is back, and I want to predict the round of 16. Now, before I even do any of that, please, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I really appreciate it. And then also leave comments below on what you think about this Champions League draw, Champions League season as a whole, and everything around the Champions League, kind of the teams, the narratives. Let me know your thoughts. Now I'll start from bottom to top, because when I looked at the graphic and it had Liverpool, PSG at the top, I was like, let me leave the best game to the end. Now the first game, Feyenoord, Inter Milan. I think a lot of these ties might have looked straightforward when they were first drawn. I want to give a week just to breathe and look at the games before I made any decisions on who I thought would go through. But this game, when I saw the draw, and today it's the same. Inter is going through for me, and a couple reasons. When I compare both teams domestically, I think Inter, obviously in a title race with Napoli and Atalanta, they're a much better team all around. They have better offensive players. They have better defensive players. They have a better coach, in my opinion. They have everything. Everything they have is superior to what Feyenoord has. And Feyenoord, fourth in the Eredivisie, even behind. I can understand being behind PSV or being behind Ajax, but being behind Utrecht, I think I pronounced that right. I've, to my knowledge, I can't remember the last time I saw Utrecht in Europe, like the Champions League or even Europa. It's been a while since I can remember even seeing them. Maybe I've never seen them. I don't know. I can't remember. But that for me is poor from Feyenoord, especially considering where they were last season. So I'm going with Inter Milan to progress to this tie. I think it wouldn't be a high scoring tie, probably a 3-1 over two legs kind of tie. And Inter Milan, they have the best defense probably in Europe, probably in this. I think definitely in this competition between them and Arsenal, they have the best defense. So I think Inter Milan is gonna, and I don't think Feyenoord has the firepower, especially losing Santiago Jimenez. I don't think they have enough for Inter. Now, a blockbuster game, Bayern versus Leverkusen. This is a tough one to call because Bayern has the match winners. They have obviously Leverkusen has Florian Wirtz, and he's an incredible player. Probably, in my opinion, the best player in the Bundesliga, just in terms of raw talent. But outside of him, do they really have enough match winners to match what Bayern have? No. Right? You have Harry Kane. You have Michael Olise. You have Leroy Sané, who's been touch and go, this season, but on his day, he's a match winner, right? And then you have Musiala. So that's probably 2, 3, maybe 4, 2 to 4 match winners on Bayern's side of the ball. Now, when it comes to tactics, I trust Xabi Alonso a lot more than I trust Vincent Kompany. I think he's a better manager. I think he can do more with less. I think if you gave Alonso Bayern's team, I don't think you'd see those kind of up and down results that you see Bayern have some of the times. The kind of how they struggle to break down some teams. I don't think you would see that with Alonso. That said, Champions League is about match winners, and I think Bayern have too many match winners. Like, in a split second, who can win you a game? I think Bayern have that in abundance that Leverkusen don't have. So, over two legs, I'm probably looking at a 4-3, a 1-goal aggregate win for Bayern. Now, Alonso does not struggle against Bayern. Like that, let's make that clear. He does not struggle against Bayern. But again, in a knockout game, in a knockout tie, I know they beat Bayern earlier this season. Was it the Pokal or was it the Super Cup? I can't remember what game it was, but Bayern did have a red card. Neuer got sent off early in that game. So that doesn't really factor into my thinking for this game. So the match-winning aspect of Bayern is why I think they're going to scrape past Leverkusen in this tie. Now, Dortmund, Lille. Dortmund has picked it up in the league this season. These last couple weeks, they've picked it up 6-0 against Berlin. I think that's kind of their marquee result of the year 2025. So they've picked it up. I look at Lille. Man, was it 2-3 weeks ago they lost in the French Cup to Dunkirk? Games like that, they factor into my thinking. Does Lille have enough firepower to outlast Dortmund? Because I don't think this is going to be a defensive tie. I don't think this is going to be a games where the better defense wins. I think this is going to be games where whoever can score more is going to win the game. And I trust Dortmund a little bit more in Europe because of obviously their pedigree. Obviously not winning anything, but just the fact that they always find a way to progress. And they obviously having Guirassy, I think was the top scorer in the Champions League right now. Having someone like that, I know Lille have Jonathan David, they have some tiny players, but do they have that enough of what Dortmund have? I don't think they do. Again, I'm gonna look at a similar kind of result to the Bayern and Leverkusen tie, probably a 4-3, maybe even a 5-4. I don't think each game is going to be a clean sheet for either team. I don't think either team can keep a clean sheet against each other. So it's going to be high-powered offenses, and I think Dortmund will scrape through. Now, Benfica, Barcelona, they gave us probably the best game of the season earlier this year, that 5-4. And I see that being the same story again in this tie. I don't think either of these teams can prevent the other from scoring. Now, Benfica, in their league, they're amazing. They're excellent, right? I think either they're first or second. Them are scoring. It fluctuates, but I look at Barcelona. They probably have the highest power offense in world football. But that high line, consistently doing that, playing that high line, even when they're winning games, I don't understand Hansi Flick's methodology. Like, why do you need to do that consistently, even when you're already, winning the game? That's why they threw the game away against Atleti. Just tactically, I don't know what he's thinking at times with that high line. Benfica is going to be able to get through at will. I think every counterattack. Barcelona pushing players forward. I see a similar result. I see a similar, not 5-4, probably 5-4 over the two legs again. Probably something like that. 5-4, 6-4 in Barcelona's favor. Just because they have too much going forward. I don't think Benfica can match what they have going forward. And Benfica is not necessarily the strongest defensive team in the Champions League either. So they're going to have to rely on their offense, digging them out in this game, and they just can't match the firepower that Barcelona has to offer. So Barcelona is progressing in this tie for me. PSV Arsenal. Now this is one of those ties where you're really looking at a defensive team and an offensive team. Now PSV have a great offensive team. Arsenal have a great defensive team. PSV don't have a strong defensive team. Arsenal don't have a strong offensive team. So you're looking at, can PSV break down Arsenal? I don't think so. I don't think they have enough to break Arsenal down. And I think Arsenal over the two legs will find gaps and be able to attack in spaces. Wanyeri on the counterattack, Trossard the odd moment of brilliance, maybe a left-footed cross. Marino heads it in, or Declan Rice just drives. They'll do something to probably get through this tie, but I don't think it's going to be a pretty tie at all. And if I had to lean towards any team progressing out of this tie, it would have to be Arsenal, just because. Is it Premier League bias? Is it? It's not that I trust Arteta. I don't trust Arteta as a tactician. I don't trust him, but. Is it Premier League bias that I'm thinking Arsenal are going to, the Netherlands don't necessarily bring the strongest Champions League teams, right? At least not in this century. So it's probably going to be a 3-1, 3-2, scrape it, Arsenal over two legs. I won't be surprised if PSV progress, by the way. I'm not discounting them at all. I think they're very capable of getting through this tie. The problem with PSV is their defense. They let in so many chances and so many goals. Now, Arsenal don't score enough goals, but I mean, if the likes of Go Ahead Eagles or Herenveen or whatever can score against PSV, then I can guarantee you that Arsenal can score against PSV. So, Arsenal to scrape this one narrowly. Now, the most hotly contested tie of the Champions League, period. Real Madrid versus Atletico Madrid. Now, when it comes to tactics, I know people talk about Carlo a lot and are his tactics good enough? Does he even have any tactics? What is he playing at? I trust Simeone more. When I look at all these games, if I had to pick one manager that I would take with me into a one-off game, it's probably Diego Simeone, just because he will find a way to win the game. He's that kind of manager. Now, Madrid, as an offensive, powerhouse, they're incredible, right? When Mbappe and Vinny and Rodrigo and Jude and Valverde coming in from midfield or maybe even right back, I don't know where he'll play this game. Probably Vasquez is back, so he'll probably play. Actually, Valverde's out, so I don't even know where if he'll play. It'll probably be Tchouaméni with Camavinga or Modric or something like that. So I don't know how they're gonna line up. I know the big four are gonna play. Now, tactically, Simeone, I think, knows how to get under Ancelotti's skin. So that's one point. Defensively, Atletico Madrid are incredible defensively. I know they've had their odd result, the 4-4 against Barcelona, which you have to factor in that it's Barcelona. It's not an average team. But then again, if Barcelona can score 4, could Madrid also score 4? Now, I don't think Madrid, while they have the attacking talent to match Barcelona, I don't think they have the football, the flow of football to match Barcelona. So it's a tough one to predict. It's a tough one to predict because I think Madrid can be got at by anybody, especially Atletico Madrid. I think if they attack Real, they can score, and they can score multiple goals over the tie. But then again, it's the match winners talk yet again. Match winners. When you have 4 match winners, I don't think any team in world football can match 4 match winners. Vinny, Rodrigo, Mbappe, Bellingham. On the Athletic side, Julian Alvarez, Antoine Griezmann, maybe on his day. I don't know. So it's a tough one. It's one of those ties where you're gonna have to look at probably the odd goal out. Probably a 3-2, maybe first leg. I think Madrid are home, so first leg probably a 1-1 or 2-2, something like that. Or maybe a last minute winner, 2-1 Madrid, and then the reverse leg try to sit and soak pressure. But that's not really their game either. So it's so tough to predict. But I'm probably going to go with Madrid 3-2 over the 2 legs, 4-3 over the 2 legs. Just, it's too tough to predict. But you have to pick somebody, right? So, next we go to Club Brugge versus Aston Villa. Now, Brugge beat Aston Villa early in the Champions League. When I look at both teams, I look at 2 teams that I don't think they're great defensively. I think Brugge showed how defensive they can be against Atalanta. I mean, conceding 26, 27 shots. Mignolet had probably 9 saves, and they won that game. But Atalanta also, we'll talk about them on another day. But it's a tough one to predict, mainly because you're looking at which offense is going to show up the most. Now, Aston Villa with the new signings, with the Rashford, with Asensio, I watched them, they're moving. They're looking good. They're looking real good. They're looking really, really good. When you have a player like Asensio, who, for me, is the most talented player in this entire tie, by far. I don't think anyone comes close to him. You probably look at Rashford as probably the second. So the talent is on Aston Villa's side. The tactics, the managing is probably also on Aston Villa's side. But it's the Champions League. You don't know. You can't call it. the first leg is going to be big because Brugge at home, I don't see Aston Villa beating Brugge at home. So it's probably going to be a 1-1 or a 1-0 Brugge win at home. Just because I just don't see them beating Brugge at home. It's the second leg that matters the most to me. Villa Park, are they going to be going back there holding on to a draw or chasing a lead? It's going to be difficult because we've seen that Brugge can protect the lead. If you want to compare Atalanta to Aston Villa's offensive abilities, they're kind of similar, right? You kind of have two strikers in Retegui and Watkins who they can score, but they can also miss 3 big chances in one game. So it's going to probably, for me, come down to what Rashford and Asensio do over the 2 legs. And then, being able to bring on Bailey or start Bailey and then bring on Rodgers. That's an interesting thing as well. Like, what is that front 3 or back 3 behind Watkins going to look like? Because I think Asensio was locked down that cam spot. Is it going to be Bailey and Rashford? Is it going to be Ramsey and Rodgers? They have so many options there. So I'm going to go with Aston Villa over the 2 legs because of the offensive firepower and the manager. It's tough to bet against Brugge, especially after what they did to Atalanta, but I'm going to go with probably a narrow 3-2 over 2 legs Aston Villa win. And now we come to the biggest tie of all. Now this game is, as a Liverpool fan, this game is a little bit scary for me. I'm not looking at the 10-0 PSG Brest result because to me that's just a league game. PSG beat up on league opponents every single season. And when it comes to the Champions League and they have to meet a team at their level or above their level, they shrink every time. So that said, this is probably my favorite PSG team since, I don't know, the Cavani, Ibra days, right? This is probably the most balanced team that they've had in many, many years. That said, Liverpool has been Liverpool this season. It's tough to bet against Liverpool over 2 legs. Now, I don't want to get carried away with PSG's result in France. Like I said, that doesn't matter to me because they do that every year. No matter who the team is, no matter who the manager is, they always beat up on teams in France. It's the Champions League that they're going to be measured by. Now, this game is going to come down to the midfields. I look at Vitinha. I really like Vitinha, by the way. I think he's such a tidy player, can pick any pass, can control a game. He's an amazing player. You're probably going to have Vitinha with Neves and Desiree Doué. I don't know if Fabian Ruiz will play this game. I haven't seen his fitness. I don't know what's happening with him, but I don't know if he'll play this game or start this game. The first leg, that is. And then on the other side, you have Szoboszlai, McAllister, and Gravenberch. Now, when you look at both of those midfields, Liverpool have a stronger, more powerful, more physical midfield that can take you up and down the pitch at will. Vitinha is great on the ball, but you don't want to see Vitinha tracking back, right? You don't want to see Vitinha trying to chase down the likes of Szoboszlai or Gravenberch. He's just not, he can't do it, right? Just height difference, strength difference, pace difference, it's too much. So I think Liverpool narrowly edged that, right? On the ball, both midfields are amazing, but off the ball is going to be a big part of this tie. Then you look at the offenses, the attacks. Now, I love Kvaratskhelia. I've loved him since he was in Napoli. I love Dembele. I love two-footed players that can take you either way. Barcola is also a great winger. But Liverpool do have Salah. Liverpool do have Gakpo. Liverpool do have Diaz. Which Gakpo and Diaz, to me, I know Kvaratskhelia name-wise, and I don't think Gakpo is such a different player from Kvaratskhelia. I think they're very much on the same level playing field, and the same goes for Diaz and Barcola. The guy that makes all the difference is Salah, versus any of the attackers. None of them compared to him, right? Dembele's been in great form. He's an amazing player. Do I trust Dembele in a pressure moment? Do I trust Barcola in a pressure moment? I do not. I do not, right? I don't trust them as much as I trust Mohamed Salah. And obviously, I think Liverpool, in terms of the goalkeeper, Donnarumma for me, guys, Donnarumma for me is a guy that's been living off his name for probably the last 5 years. I don't think he's one of the top goalkeepers in the world. He makes too many errors. With the ball at his feet, he's poor. He's shaky at best, right? He's a great shot stopper. He can make great saves, great in penalties, but if he was my keeper, I would be terrified every time Liverpool attacked him because he just doesn't fill me with any kind of confidence. And obviously, their defense, I know they've brought in Paco. I know Marquinhos has been there. He's kind of improved since Thiago Silva left, but I still don't trust him in a pressure moment. So what it comes down to for me is pressure moment players. I trust Liverpool's big players more than I trust PSG's big players. It's gonna be a tough one. I'm gonna edge Liverpool. I think this first leg is very important for PSG. I think they have to win this first leg because being able to go into the second leg, soak up pressure, unleash Dembele, Barcola, Kvaratskhelia on the counter attack. I think that's gonna be important for them. I don't think they want to go into that second leg at Anfield with anything less than a lead, preferably a 2-goal lead. But you look at Liverpool's results. Liverpool have lost Nottingham Forest, PSV, Plymouth, and the first leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final to Tottenham Hotspur. So Liverpool have lost 4 games this season by 1 goal. So PSG, probably for me to win this tie, need to win the first leg by 2 goals. And I don't see that happening. So it's probably going to be a 4-3-5 because Liverpool's defense has improved over the last couple of games, but I don't see us shutting out PSG probably in both legs. I think PSG might score in both legs. So it's about, can we match them for goals? And I think we can. Probably 5-4, 4-3 Liverpool. So that's it. Round of 16. Liverpool going through. Aston Villa going through. Real Madrid going through. Arsenal going through. Barcelona going through. Dortmund going through. Bayern going through. And Inter Milan going through. I will do a prediction of the quarterfinals, when those results have happened in 2 weeks. But by next week, I'll do those games. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting week of football. There's no other way to put it. I might get some of these wrong. I think the first legs are key. And I know it's cliche, but I really think the first leg are going to determine who goes through in all these games. But I'm fairly confident, at least I'm confident that Arsenal are going to go through. I'm confident that Inter Milan are going to go through. And I'm confident that Barcelona are going to go through. The other 5 games can really go either way. There's no confidence that either of these teams are just going to progress to the quarterfinals. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know who you think is going to go through and why. Let me know what players you think are going to make the most difference in each tie. And give me some score predictions, not just the first leg, but overall aggregate score. What do you think is going to happen in all these ties? So thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like the video, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I will see you guys next week. Bye.